Hello everyone. Today I will be speaking on the articles. First, one of the most important article by Shashi Tharoor, who is a Congress MP in the lower house of parliament. He was writing about the same ongoing protest and how a parliamentary form of government, a democratic republic, India should behave, how the executive and the legislative tackle this such kind of situation when it is the question of youth, when it is the question of education system and when it is the question of the upcoming future of India. He was condemning the ongoing management by the executive on those who were protesting and who are protesting. He criticized the approach of a democratic republic India in order to responding to their demands of protesters. He also criticized that a exemplary, a good sovereign country, democratic country should reply in a manner so that people can build their trust on the system. In his article, he has written that he has written that he he had conversation with some of them at the protesting site on Monday, where they replied and the protesters replied the brutality of the personnel, the executives who are totally responsible for the agitators. Because of them, they had to attend the emergency ward of hospitals. The use of pellets, the use of lathis by those personnel was savage. He mentioned that in a constitutionally accepted sovereign democratic India, the executive should be accountable for their deeds. There must be there must be debate, there must be discussion on the floor of parliament. He suggested some hypothetical solutions that should be done that could be done earlier. Any of the minister from the ruling party might approach the Sonam Wangchuk in order to break his hunger strike. It was the best possible easiest way to communicate with those who were protesting and who are protesting. But it was not done. It is a symbol of weak democracy. It is a symbol of lessening democratic principles. Apart from it, he was strengthening the voice of LOP, the dissent of LOP and opposition party by condemning of ignorance to the demands of such protests. A quick update apart from it, many of the opposition MPs were met to Sonam Wangchuk and requested him to break his hunger strike because India, the nation, need him alive. There was there is a victim of the breakdown, the victim of the crackdown from the Monday. His name is Irshad Sheikh. In his in his meeting to the JP Nadda, he stated that how the RAF personnel shoot him from pellet gun, and due to which he is facing such critical condition. He had surgeries, he was struggling, and he was so he was so in dissenting manner because of the use of such weapon directly. Apart from it, there are some there are some initiatives which were suggested by two scholars. They collectively defined in three defined in three subunits. The first one about the textbook in the Indian education system, the second one importance of language, and the third one of course the exam management. From the textbook, he stated that there were two. They stated that in the Indian textbook, specifically in class 9, there should be the ancient Indian mathematics include uh, it must include ancient Indian mathematics in order to flourish in order to flourish past the Indian past achievements. Second one is the language as NEP and CBSE by adhering to the NEP, given the option of three languages where the those languages like Bengali, Tamil, Gujarati, Maithili, Kannada, such languages get their means in order to preserve their civilizational righteousness, civilizational richness, because English solely is not able to preserve all such rich culture. The third one, examination management. It is high time to secure those data centers. It is high time to conduct examination in a secure way, in a protective way, mostly in a mostly in a computer based test format. They stated a estimate where the coaching industry in India, accounted by a private firm, around 65,000 crore in 2022, that is going to around 1.82 lakh crore by 2030. He was deliberately he was means they was tried to open a scope where they tried to open a scope where such do not industries do not want those reforms which basically promotes the government institutions, the education institutions, where the students get those privileges and they face harms, they face the consequences. Basically, they will not able to earn. Therefore, therefore, the management of examination is also important by securing the data center, by securing the site by biometrics, by computer-based tests. There was also there was also a detailed article on relation between FCRA and scientific development of scientific development, or we can say development of science as a subject in purview of researches in various fields. The writer explained about FCRA and NGO, which is basically working in the field of science and research. He asserted that from the very beginning of FCRA, the full form Foreign Contribution Regulation Act in 1969 for the first time and launched in 1976 for the first time, where it was banned to being funded from any foreign institutions in the territory of India, which was further reformed multiple times by various governments and tightening those FCRA regulation which is responsible to fund. His main critique was when an NGO not able to get the transferred fund in order to perform their basic, in order to perform their in order to perform their advanced function in the field of science and research. It is outrightly prohibited to sub-fund, means one NGO is transferring their fund to the other. It is outrightly prohibited when the very first NGO is taking fund from the foreign institutions. Therefore, the writer suggested that such kind of prohibition is undermining the scientific temperament of India and the the critical researches in the various developing fields of the world. I want to further remind a short article by Umar Khalid, where he mentioned the dedication, the responsibility as a student of government institution, that was the JNU, where he mentioned where he stated about the tag given by the mainstream media, the three the then protesters, but they challenge the system and they have the conviction of upholding their integrity towards public funded university and government colleges, where they dedicated themselves to their thesis and by at any extent they want to complete their thesis on time. Therefore, the legitimacy, the portray of government universities, the portray of public funded university remain intact and credible. Thank you for today.